Okay, now turn to page 19. We're going to go over some word problems. Okay, so on page 19, and you're going to follow along as we do this. Number 1, well, first of all, it does say, define a variable, write an inequality, and solve each problem. This says Sarah had scores of 75, 82, 94, and 77 on her first 4 science tests. What score must she get on the next test to have an average of at least 85? Well, we're going to let x equal the score on the last test. To average these 5 tests, we divide by 5. We want it to be at least 85. Now, at least 85 means she'd be happy if it was greater than 85. So at least is greater than or equal to. So I add these all together. I get 328 plus x divided by 5 is greater than or equal to 85. I get 328 plus x, multiply both sides by 5, is greater than 425, and x is greater or equal to 97. Now, that answer, x is greater than or equal to 97, will get you full credit. 97 or above would get you full credit. If you said she needs to get a 97, that will not get you full credit. I'll give you half credit for that, because she can get a 98, and she could get a 99, and she could get 100. So actually, the absolute best answer, and you don't have to give this to me, but assuming there's no extra credit, the best answer would be she would get in between 97 and 100. Now, again, this and this give you full credit. 97 does not include everything higher, so that's not full credit. This is the best answer, but I don't always expect you to give me that. And I would say x equals 5th test. Okay? Now, suppose the question said, though, suppose it didn't say, what score does she need to get? Suppose it said, what is the minimum score she needs to get? Then the answer would be 97, right? If I ask for just the minimum, then you give me 97. If I say, what score does she have to get, you have to give me a range. Okay, so that's number 1. Now, number 2. Camille has no more than $10 to spend each week for lunch and bus fare. If she spends a total of $4.10 on Monday and Tuesday, how much can she spend during the rest of the week? Okay, well, x equals spending for the rest of the week. She already spent $4.10, so she can only spend x more to make it at most $10. So she already spent $4.10, so she can only add x to make it less than 10. So this would be x is less than or equal to 590, which gets you full credit. 590 or less, again, full credit. The best answer would be x is in between 0 and 590, because obviously she can't spend less than 0. But these two will get you full credit, even though that is the absolute best answer. Now, let's look at number 3. Number 3 says the sum of 2 consecutive positive odd integers is at most 14. What are the possible pairs? Okay, so I have 2 consecutive positive odd integers. So my first would be x, and my second would be x plus 2. Okay, so the sum, my total, would be 2x plus 2. So this is consecutive, positive, odd, consecutive, positive, odd, just to make sure I remember that. So it says that when I add these together, they will be at most 14. So the most they can be, so less than or equal to 14. Now, I solve this. 2x is less than or equal to 12. X is less than or equal to 6. And I go, that doesn't seem right because it's looking for odd. So maybe I did something wrong. Oh, but you know what? If it's less than 6 and it has to be odd, I just have to consider the odd numbers that are less than 6 and are still positive. So what is the largest odd number that's less than 6 but is still positive? 5. So if this is 5, I put it in the wrong place, 5 plus 2 would be 7. 5 plus 7 is less than 14. Okay, what's the next consecutive odd integer less than 5? It's 3. What's 3 plus 2? It's 5. Add these together, 8. They're both odd, both positive, and they're both less than 14 when you add them together. The last pair would be 1 and 3. So my actual answer would be the pairs 5, 7, 3, 5, 1, 3. If you use my chart, that would be fine. So don't get fooled thinking, oh, I did something wrong because you ended up with a even number. You just then consider, well, what's an odd number that's less than 6? But it has to be positive, so it means it has to be greater than 0. Okay, now for number 4, Scott makes 15% bonus commission on his sales. He also receives a base salary of $10,000. How many sales must he make to get a total income between, and notice between is not inclusive, okay? I didn't say inclusively, so when we do between, there's not going to be any equal sign underneath it. He wants to get an income in between $25,000 and $35,000. So I know whatever this is going to be in between $25,000 and $35,000. Well, how do we figure out his total income? Well, his total income is his salary, which is $10,000, plus his commission. Okay? So total income is salary plus commission. Now, commission is a percent of sales. And this question wants to know how many sales. Okay? So your commission is 15% of the total sales. So my commission would be 0.15x. Okay? So in other words, to understand salary and commission, salary is a guaranteed income. Commission is like a bonus based upon your performance. So the more you sell, the more money you make. So as the sales increase, so does your total compensation. In this case, the commission is 15% of your sales. So that means this is 10,000 plus 0.15x. Okay? Now, to solve this, I'd subtract 10,000 from both sides. And then x would be in between 100,000 and 166, 666, 67. Why did I round it to 67? Because it's money and it rounds to the penny. So his sales must be in between 100,000 and 166, 666, 67 in order for him to get an income in between 25,000 and 35,000. Okay. Now, number 5, mailboxes, etc. is having a sale on mailing boxes. You can mail any box that weighs no more than 50 pounds for a flat rate of $20. You want to mail 2.25 pound bags of Jolly Ranchers to a friend. What is the maximum number of whole bags that you can pack and still get the sale rate? So notice, this is looking for a maximum. A maximum is one number. This is not going to be an inequality in your final answer. It's going to just be a number. Now, this problem is trying to confuse you by telling you that 50 pounds costs $20. We don't really care. That's not going to enter the $20 into this. We just want to figure out what's the maximum number of bags you can mail and still be under 50 pounds. So X is the number of bags. So you multiply the number of bags by the weight of each bag, and you want that to be less than or equal to 50. So I end up with X is less than or equal to 22.22. Now, no one's going to let you buy 0.22 bags. So we're assuming this is the whole bag, and it actually says the whole bag. So what is the largest whole bag number? It would be 22. So the answer is 22 maximum bags. And I want you to understand why, if you gave me an inequality as an answer, that's not correct. I'm not saying how many bags can they send, meaning they could also send 20 bags. They could send 18 bags. It's actually asking for the maximum number, so you'd give me 22. Okay, so that's the end of this video.